Muted? Of course I'm muted, but now I'm not. Welcome everybody to the Monday Fun Day stream. As you can see, guys, we have a little bit of a different format today. We teased it a little bit last week on our social media, where we're going to be doing a little bit of a backstage, behind the scenes, how it's made, how do we do the things that we do in game development. And I'm joined here by my friend and colleague, Tomasz Pawłowicz. He is our technical Houdini artist. How are you doing, Tomek?
Hi guys, I'm doing great, thank you.
Fantastic. How are you feeling today, man? You good?
Oh, great.
Awesome. So, Tom, I'm gonna ask you a few questions before we get started here. Before we dive into this, what we see in front of our eyes here, can explain to us a little bit, like, what is a technical Houdini artist? What even is Houdini for people that may not even know?
Okay, so Houdini is software that was developed by Canadian company that is called Side Effects. It was meant to be, and it is actually the best software for VFX. So if you're watching any blockbuster, there's a Houdini there. It was very, very like big. It is like for in a VFX world, it's like top software, and like since like 4 years ago, they started to make, maybe 5. They started to develop tools for game development, and I will show you today how it works and what we do.
That's
Here.
awesome. I always, I've watched, I have a little 4-year-old daughter, and I watch a lot of animated movies with her, and it always amazes me how these movies are made. Like, is Toy Story made in Houdini, or is that made something else?
No, Toy
No?
Story is not
Oh.
made in Houdini. No.
Okay, but what about like other animated films? Like there's probably a big majority of them that are made in Houdini, right?
Like simulations, like water and oceans and volumes and all the stuff. Yes, I. If you'll take any blockbuster, there is a probably 99% of chance that Houdini was involved in this process.
That's awesome.
So it is very it is tool that is used a lot nowadays in VFXs.
Cool. Cool. Okay. So you know what? Without further ado, I think you have a little bit of a presentation for us to show, for us to see. I'm super excited, and I'm sure that people are excited to see. I just want to give out some shout outs. Hello, Russ Kid, Lady Dudette. How are you guys doing on Twitch? We are also streaming on YouTube as well. So hello, everybody on YouTube. And Tom, take it away. Feel free to. I will ask you. I'll probably ask you some questions here and there. And if you
Yeah, sure.
guys, if anyone watching, if you guys have questions for me or for Tom, or during this short little showcase here, feel free to ask it in the comments. And when we get some time, we'll definitely get to it. So, Tom, the floor is yours, man.
Thank you. So I will show you the city generator. Actually, it's building generator, but with other generators. It will be the city generator. So I will show you the buildings part. It was developed mostly by me. I will show you how it works and how we create the buildings, because creating buildings is quite robust workflow. Yeah, you have to create levels, add doors here and there, create windows and roofs. Yeah, so to create it faster, because as you may know, we are creating Urban Venture, the next project from Simteract, and it has a lot of buildings because it takes place in full size Barcelona. So there's like thousands of buildings there, and creating them from scratch is like unbelievable amount of work for a small team as ours. So I will show you the main tool, that is tool that creates buildings. But I have to tell you more about the whole process, because I will show you only the top layer of it, but we have few workflows that has to be because I will show you how I do it manually, but creating it in real life would also take a while for us to create thousands of buildings. So we use few workflows that need to be explained, because it might be like, okay, you create it by hand, one by one, and no, that's not the case. We are creating the outlines of each building from the OpenStreetMaps web data. It can be achieved like downloaded by anyone. It is like free source, open source project. So we take it from there and we like simplify the amount of data that is there and get the simple setup and buildings from Barcelona to work on. Yeah, because it's not completely ready, but it is almost what we need. So I will show you now how the building generator tools work. So I have two buildings here. We'll create some more. I can. Those are only representation of the buildings. As you can see, it is not working too well because it's just like box with some textures on it. So it is representing how the building will look like if we will like generate it from this box. Yeah. So it's basically a mock-up for the building. So I can change any material on it. I can like simply drag and drop materials for let's say I will change this one to something else. I have some prepared materials for it, and this is the simple representation of this building. But to be able to see how it looks on the end, I have to use the other tool. It's called building standalone generator. I will just take this block, use it as an input. Oh, sorry. Sorry, because we have a little bit problem with the plastic.
You're okay.
I have to undo changes for this.
So for those of you that don't know, Urban Venture is being created at a 1-to-1 scale, just like Tomek said. And, you know, when we went to a few conventions, we went to PAX East, and then we went to South by Southwest. And whenever we were telling people about like, hey, this is Barcelona 1-to-1 scale, people were just like, this is amazing. How do you guys? And Tomek, like, I wish you were there. I wish you were there with me, because when they were just like, how do you even do that? I was just like, yeah, OSM maps, we take it and put it into City Generator, and then, you know, it happens, right? Magic. And I think you're the best person to get a more detailed answer to that. So
Great. So as you can see, we have simple error that couldn't the generator couldn't find the parts, so I needed to just undo changes with this source control tool. And so it's not now working. So we have building, and it looks like this, yeah. But there are some things that should be addressed by me, because as you can see, we don't have we have like windows here, but not on this side. So it is this side, we call them back walls. So if two buildings are facing each other in a like the faces are very like very near to each other, we're just deleting the assets of the windows, and we're leaving just the plain wall. So we can this generator is able to we are able to create new buildings from it out of it. So we can create the building if we say, okay, we don't like this kind of building, we would like to do something else, we can just override this setup and create something new. Okay, we'll get some.
Tallback.
Okay,
Now I
so
have a quick question for
yeah,
you. I noticed because right now we're in Unreal, right? We're in
yeah.
Unreal 4. And is that you did I notice that you have a plugin for Houdini on the right-hand side, or can you explain that a little bit on how you're getting these Houdini things into Unreal?
Okay, so it works this way. It's uh, Houdini comes with a plugin that is called Houdini Engine, and it is kind of bridge between Houdini and Unreal, but it is live, and it is doing all the stuff. If we will just leave some parameters on the top, and we'll leave them to be editable, so we can change them live inside. So we can change them live inside Unreal, and we can create setups that are manageable inside Unreal, but are working using Houdini. So it
Okay.
is like it is live plugin. So
Okay.
it is working. This what is happening. It's happening inside Houdini, uh, and it's going back to Unreal, and we
Okay.
see the outcome.
Awesome. Okay, thank you for that.
So now we have building. As you can see, we can change the parameters. I will not go deeper explaining everything here, but we can just delete some parameters and get some new buildings. Save this to I will just drop some changes to it. So we have new building, yes, and it will generate, if we will save this this override, because it's called override, material override, uh, into the new material as the same as you could see here, yeah. We could see, oh, not this. So these are material overrides, and we are using them to read the data for the generator. So I will not do this at the moment. I will just use some maybe some pre-generated materials just to show you how it works. So I will just change it like to maybe, oh, maybe I will just I will turn this off, and will show you that one, if you will just use like one of these materials, it will jump to the, let's say, to this setup. Yeah, I will just use this, and the generation Oh, sorry, I have to turn off the overrides because it is overriding materials. And as you can see, we have the completely different building with just like one click. So we can
Wow.
just take this building, duplicate it. Yeah, we can move it down here, and we can just change the input for this generator because it's generating this part. So I'll just select this, use selection. We'll just change it to some other type. So it is this one. We'll just turn it off to see the changes. And as you can see, we have completely new building that is editable. So you can just move it here and there, add new walls, add some new stuff
And
to it.
this is like the manual way of doing it, right?
Yeah, it's manual way. Yeah,
Okay.
because I can show you some part of, because we have few generators. We use few generators. This generator that I show you is for urban venture, but we also have generator for train life. So the train life generator is using not the same method, but it could show us how the how it works with OS with OpenStreetMap maps data. So maybe I will jump to it, and I will show
Yeah.
you some part of it. So the OSM data
And now this
looks
is
like,
Houdini,
yeah, this
the
is Houdini.
direct
Yeah,
program. Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe I will change the, sorry, I will change the size of the interface because it's very small. I want
You have
to
a
see
big monitor, don't you?
it's not big, by pixel dense.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, so as you can see, it is Brussels. So you can see that this is the data from OpenStreetMaps that was downloaded from the site. And as you can see, there are roads here, the rails, and so on. And in this data, you can find a lot of information. So those data are not always correct, but almost a lot of them is. So you can like filter them, analyze them, and use them to generate something out of it. So here we have roads, and we through this process that is here, we like get, let's say we need rails. Yeah, we need rails. We have rails here. We have some other rails that are oh, it's not rails, but it is not rails, but it is the info for what is near the rails.
Okay.
So we can use it to generate buildings far more like buildings that are further away are more simple, like they're simpler than those that are nearer to the rails. So we can use this data to say to Houdini, okay, what is like 150 meters in the vicinity of like 150 meters from the rails. Let's say those are buildings, and these buildings will be more complex. So we have a whole procedure that goes through because we have buildings here, and will be like, they look like this, and
Those
we
are
have
only
process.
buildings, right?
Yeah, those are only
Okay.
buildings. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have procedures that take those outlines and say, okay, if those buildings are smaller than, let's say, 400 square meters, those will be buildings, like houses and like smaller buildings, not like office ones, or like hangars and so on. So it is just, we are analyzing it by, let's say, at first by area. Then we are analyzing, we are getting the some kind of data about how tall are the buildings, and we are going through each kind of buildings, and we are proceeding them, and we are getting the, let's say, I will show it to you like this, maybe. When we are getting the buildings with some features, yeah, those are low quality tenement buildings. So we are just throwing some shader on it with the textures that say, okay, those are the walls with windows, and those are the roofs. And it's in train life, the buildings are further away from the tracks than we are from the buildings in a urban venture. So the complexity is also smaller, because it's very good.
It's not the focus of like what the
Yeah, it's
player
not
is
the
looking
focus.
at, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I have a question, Tom.
Yeah, sure.
So like when you gather the data from OSM maps, and you put it into Houdini, does it automatically just generate this tree for you that's on the
No,
right hand
no.
side? You did this all by yourself, right?
Yeah, actually, this setup was done by our art director,
Okay,
by
okay.
Artur Szymański.
Yep.
So I'm just managing it and adding some stuff to it.
Okay.
And so actually, what we get from this data is this. Yeah, it's all we got. We can filter it, because you can add some filters to it. Some we have like 1, 2, 3 nodes that are built into Houdini. So we have OSM buildings, filters, and import that you have seen here. So we can use this data to generate what I've actually showed you minutes ago. And we can also take like roads and create roads out of it, because we have we have also the roads grid here, and we can create the roads out of it, so it looks on the end like. Of course, I have cached the outcome, because it takes time. The generation of few thousand buildings can take a few minutes, yeah.
Right.
But it's few minutes and not few days.
Few days, right?
Yeah, or months, yeah, to create it by hand. So that's pretty it in the matter of creating buildings inside Houdini for Train Life. You can jump back to this setup. Of course, on the end, we are just baking all these buildings into the single assets, so we can move them, and they're better like it is easier for GPU to manage hold the data set. So it is like lighter.
And when we generate these cities and buildings and stuff using our city generator technology, it's not like completely perfect, right? Like it's not
Yeah,
like boom, like it's done. Like we do have to go back every now and again to like manually adjust the like certain assets to make it look correct as it would be at a 1-to-1 scale, for example, like an urban venture, right?
yes, yes, yes. Yes, it is because there are a lot of. I can show it to you because I have the OSM file here. Uh, if you will just jump like like he, for example here, as you can see, a lot of these buildings have some features that are not needed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it will generate geometry here and here, and it's not even visible. So we have processes in urban venture that clears these elements out. Yeah,
Hmm.
it is
Okay.
just deleting them because you cannot see them, and why to bother? Why
Right.
to
Right.
even use it?
Because like the player won't even see them, and it's just like more processing power to just
Yeah,
like show them something that's not even that they won't even like be able to see in the first place, right? So,
yeah, exactly.
okay, yeah, so that makes sense. We have a question here from Lady Dudette. Is it difficult to figure out the depth and the detailing to use?
I'm not sure if I understand the
Sure, Lady Dudette,
question.
if you would like, if you would be so kind as to maybe reiterate the question, for Tom here, we would really appreciate it. Thank you. Uh, yeah, so yeah, you can keep going, Tomek.
Okay, so we in this setup we have few processes that also use because it is very hard sometimes to create the roof for the very complex shapes. Yeah, because it will just if you will just take let's say this part, yeah, here, yeah, as you can see it is just like going there back and there, and the complexity of this edge is, maybe I will just select it because it's like it don't want to jump into place, and so I'll blast all the stuff except of this one. Maybe it will just be easier. Okay, so we have this shape, as you can maybe
Very
you can
weird
see.
shape.
Very weird shape as a for a building, but what can we do? Maybe I will just point size to 10 because it's very small. Okay, so we have these points, and the roof that will be generated out of it will be like very complex. So there are procedures here that even tells the generator to skip or some of the buildings with like very complex geometry, or if the building is like very narrow and very long, that might mean that someone just like throw some incorrect data. It will just the process will just pick them up by the like the size of the shape, actual shape, because if it will be like 10 meters wide and 100 meters long, it means that it might be some kind of building, but but
It's
there's
not
a
sure.
we are not sure about it,
Yeah.
so we are sometimes filtering the data just to throw them out, because in this process we are not like 100%. It's not like perfect
Right.
match with the actual world, because as you told earlier, it is not main focus for this game.
Sure.
Do we have some questions?
Yeah, so a lady that asked again, how do you know how much detail to use as you get further away, and it still makes it look realistic. Yeah.
Okay. So it is not the if I am right and if I read it right, this question, I think that we are talking here about more like uh, more like the things with the level of details of models, because in this setup from Urban Venture, we are generating the buildings out of parts that are created earlier. So I will show it to you. Because this setup here, uh, the import from Houdini into the Unreal is created of points only. Points that have the name of the asset that the engine should use. So it is not the building, like all the parts are the models.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So the maybe I will just, because we can connect with it, might I will try to do this, but sometimes it's maybe not crashes, but it's doing weird things with this model. I will show you how it works between, so what the engine gets and what Houdini is proceeding, and maybe I will just go a little bit inside it.
So basically, what you're saying is, like, let's say you're looking at an object inside of a game at like a distance, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, 200 meters for like example. So the engine, like Houdini, has the assets to generate the entire building, but the engine sort of like limits that asset from like all of the things that are connected with that asset for the player to see, so it doesn't, so it takes like less processing power. Like, is that what we're like talking about here, or?
Uh, mm, Houdini engine is working only offline in editor. It is
Oh,
not
okay.
in a real game. So
Okay, okay.
to see it in real game, you need to bake it. So you get the data from Houdini engine. You bake it into the object, and
Mm.
this object here, yeah, each of them has something called we call it LOD. So each of this asset has some sort of uh, maybe I will just, do we have LODs here? No, not in this setup. Maybe I will just pick some
And LOD
facility.
stands for level of detail, right?
Yeah, it is level of details. So
Mm-hmm.
if we are looking at object, as you can see here, under my mouse, it says LOD1. So it is level of details 0 here, so
Mm-hmm.
the nearest one, and there is no more detail. If I will go like further away from it, it will just jump to LOD1,
Ah, okay.
and
Yeah, I see that.
and
Okay.
it is simpler geometry, and it is easier for GPU to calculate how it looks in these conditions, yeah, and when it's lit and so on. So we have LOD1 here, and we will just get probably maybe some LOD3 or 2. I will see how much LOD levels we have. Oh, we have 2 LODs here, but can be like 7, even 7 level of details. And even if we will go further and further away, the the Unreal Engine uses some other processes
Mm.
to bake the models into more uh, even more like optimized versions. So it is packing it into like clusters and doing a lot of more processing on it, like creating even lower level models. That's why
Right.
we need to close these models from the top and from the bottom to because it will just generate the simple box with simple textures out of it automatically if we'll do a clustering for a few buildings. Yeah. So there are a lot of processes that will help us to, because if it will be loaded like once at a time, all the parts from whole the city, it will just crash because it will be slow, very slow.
Yeah.
So we need to optimize it in any possible way. So maybe just is it here? Yeah, it is here, but we need to recook this asset. And I will show you how these buildings actually looks in. Okay, we have some small error. Okay.
Always some errors.
Yeah, sure. It's like standard here.
Yeah, standard in game dev, right?
Yeah. So we have maybe what? Okay. Here it is. Yeah. This is the building. It's the input data that it is this box. That's what we see here. We'll just turn it off. It will be rebooting probably one of the, okay, because there are mergers here. So we don't need this one, and what we need is this one. So this is the building, actual building that it looks like this in Unreal, but it looks like this in Houdini. And each of these points is an object. So you can see here that it says Unreal instance, and it's referring to facade set model stretch. So those are these models between the corners and first window. So we have all data that is saying, okay, in this position is model that you can find here. Yeah, you could just go.
So all of those little dots in Houdini are points of the, like, for example, like you said, the windows, right? Like each corner of the window and each like, did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Because they look like, let's say this is the part B. So it will be those are the models that are used to create this building, and it is generating building slicing. I might be able to show it a little bit to just. This is the process that is. There's a lot of it's a lot of going on here.
Yeah.
So you have the actual model. We maybe okay. We slice it like here into some. Okay, so those are the levels, and there's a whole process here that is doing the what is corner, what is window, what is whatever. In the like it is using the pattern that was created here. Yeah, because you have some pattern like this, like ABC. So we take part AB, we take part, let's say F0. Okay, it will be, we take part A, B, C. Yes, ABC from here. And it is just like using, okay, ABC, ABC, ABC.
Okay,
and
so if you were to place the asset, the ABC asset that took up those 3 points on the building, then it would just take up those 3 spaces, ABC, like you said.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So we can changing the pattern on the material itself. So we get, because the name of the material is actually the way that we code the assets here.
Quick question about the assets for like the windows and doors and stuff. Are these assets that we made in house, or that we
Yeah,
bought? Or
we
oh,
made
we
them.
we
Yeah,
made
we
all of
made
them.
them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Wow. Okay. Oh,
So we so 3D. Guys create them with textures and materials and so on. So they fit some. We need the data, how wide they are and how tall they are and so on, to let the generator know, okay, if you are creating these lines here, the first floor has to be like, let's say, 6 meters tall, and here the second and next levels, except of attic, should be like 4 meters, and the attic is, let's say, in this part maybe like 4 also.
right.
So all the data has to be uh, we need to add the data into this generator to let it know what to expect and what to create out of this simple box. Any other questions?
I think right now we're good, guys. If you have any questions on what you see on your screen right here regarding the stuff that Tom has talked about, feel free to let us know. Maybe if you have questions about urban venture or train life, we'll be more than happy to answer. So, Tom, you showed us how to do it manually. Can you show us the automatic process of it? Like,
Yeah, sure, sure.
do you just like click a big red button that just says go and then it's just like or
Yes, it is
oh,
quite
really?
quite
Nice.
automatic process. Yeah, because this one is like, okay, creating it
Right.
out of the boxes. Maybe I will not show you how to get it from the OSM data, because it could be quite time consuming,
Right.
and we'll
Right.
like sit here. But I will show you how the actual generator works. So just maybe I will just duplicate it a few times just to show you that it works actually. Mm,
And just to like make sure we could do this with any city, right? Like we
yeah.
could eh, okay, that's amazing. Wow. That's crazy.
So I will just duplicate it just to have some to let the generator work on some data. So I will turn it off. I will just pick the PDG buildings. It's the pipeline that is taking all this stuff, all these boxes, and generating buildings for each building alone. We cannot use the standalone version, because if you would just pick like 3 buildings at once, it will just mess the orientation of the pieces. It's not capable of creating buildings out of a few boxes at once. So it is just like live preview. It is faster than PTG version,
Sure.
but it's quite nice to have this standalone generation, because we can see how it works. But PTG version is doing is we are telling it just, okay, we are done with this setup. Please show us the result. And so we'll just start the selection. I'll just maybe pick them out from outliner. Use current selection. This arrow, if it will be done, this arrow, okay, maybe I will just close this connection with Houdini, because it can do some weird stuff. Okay, that is good. It is. So as you can see, I have this arrow that indicates that Okay, but one building, just like need to recook. Okay, we need to create a new session because I killed the session between Houdini and Unreal. It just
It just died.
yeah, it just died. Yeah. Okay, we have it. So maybe okay. I need to wait for a moment, guys. Okay, so just thinking a bit.
How is just from like your daily workflow like experience, how is just because I see you're using like, several different programs, like a little bit of Unreal, a little bit of
Yeah.
Houdini, a little bit of something else. And like how is like the entire workflow? Like do you have like lag between like these things? Is everything that you're doing is it in real time? Do you have to like wait for some things to happen whenever you're making levels or something like that?
Yes, because I have to wait quite a lot of time with, let's say, with this PDG version, because like generating the
I'm sorry,
biggest
can you
part.
explain really quick what PDG means?
PDG, it's a pipeline dependency graph. It
Okay.
means that in Houdini, we can see each iteration of the process. So you can jump into the process and see what has come from it. It is visual part of the pipeline.
Okay.
So it is easier to manage, and it's mm, it's very like robust feature of Houdini, but it is easy to use because you can see what actually happens on each level of this dependency graph.
Okay.
So my workflow is not real time because there are a
Mm.
lot of processes that needs to be offline due to the fact that like when we are generating, let's say, the biggest part of Barcelona that we generated with the generator at once was like 936 buildings, I
Oh.
think.
How long did that take?
It takes about, I think that 40 minutes
Okay.
or something like that. So it, of course, I can do a lot of other stuff when it's happening because Unreal is able to use only 16 cores at once. So
Only 16 cores.
only 16 cores.
Only. Okay. Most of us don't even have 8.
Okay, that's true.
Which it sort of brings me to like my next question, like because this is pretty intense, like graphically intense stuff. I mean, like you're
Yeah.
making something out of nothing, like 3D models, meshes. You're generating huge databases from like cities and stuff like that. What kind of computer do you need to do this kind of stuff? Like, can you do it with a laptop? Can you?
Yeah, you can do it with laptop.
Okay, you can
Yeah,
do it. Okay.
the main limiter here is Unreal because if you're doing stuff in Houdini, it's very fast. You can use all the cores. If you cannot use all the cores at once, you can just split it into the parts and use the PDG that we talked about a few moments ago
Yeah.
to use all your cores and to even to send it into some kind of server that will do it offline. So, but you can use. I have few friends that do job that I do, and they're using like moderate laptops. Yeah,
Okay.
so with moderate specs. So I will proceed with this. Okay, we
Are
need
you
to.
still going to show us the big red button that says
Yeah,
automatic generation of cities?
yeah, almost. I will
Almost.
show you. I need to clean the cache to be sure that nothing after the last session, everything is cleaned. I will just click dirty all also, and we can cook output. As you can see, it is just taking these parts. We have like, oh, I probably missed one of them. Yeah, probably yes, because I was regenerating them, and it will just take 8 parts instead of 9. But as you can see, it is cooking 16 processes at once.
Hmm.
Some of them, like these processes with the buildings, are not so heavy. We have workflows for terrain generation, and it can cook like 16 processes at once, and each process needs like 8 gigs of RAM. So
Jeez. Okay.
so it can be quite expensive.
Yeah. What
Car
happens?
expensive.
What happens if it fails? Because I see you have a failed section there as well.
Yeah. So if it fails, we have indicator that something went wrong, and it's good. But what it is not generated properly, so it's just like
It's just all messed up
yeah.
and okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's messed up, sometimes it's not it is not showing at all, because the fail might start on some very low level stuff,
Okay.
and it just not proceed with this.
Okay.
So as you can see, it just went through. It created 8 buildings because it's 8 processes here, so 8 by 8. We
Okay.
have all the here. Okay, we'll turn it off. So as you can see,
Wow. Holy
so
moly.
it generated those buildings.
Wow.
Of course, if we would like to change anything, we will need to reprocess maybe not the whole stuff, because we can clean only the changed, because it's cached. So we can change one, and if others will be okay, it will just pick the older ones. Yeah. Okay. So we can change this one and
Oh,
generate
so
only
when
this.
you change one, it changes the rest of that point, right?
If we change one building, it depends on the actual input, because it can be in this process. I will not use the regeneration of one building if it is somehow connected with, like, when the walls are different, for like back walls are here and here, and I would just like go with, okay, I will regenerate this one, and this one, because the generation, usually I tend to regenerate all the city part at once. So the models the blocks that I have here and I use for generation are always consistent with every model that was generated.
Right.
Because if someone will just take this model that came here and will just like move it like manual, I say okay, but we have the models that are. So if he made that change manually,
Right.
it is not a procedural process anymore.
Okay.
So he should or she should move it like this and then regenerate. So we have consistency with these blocks and with actual generated models. So it depends, because if the building is like standalone, somewhere there it is standing alone, you can just move, of course, this and don't regenerate like whole the city. Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes it's better to see if it changed the outcome, but it shouldn't. It shouldn't. So what we do now, actually, maybe I will just reset this value here, where it was. Okay, this. So reset this value. I'll change it to here. Yeah, it was there, and so you can turn it off, and we'll bake them, like for.
Gonna put it in the oven.
Yeah, almost.
Toss it in the
Okay,
oven.
I clicked the wrong bake button. Okay, it baked only
There's
the
different.
arrow.
There's different baking options.
Yeah, because yes, they are. Okay. So now it's baking. We'll wait for a bit. It's quite tedious process because there's like thousands of points here now.
Right,
Yeah?
right,
So
right.
it has to take these points, take the models, connect them, merge them into instancers. Instancers like object, the same object that is in the scene in a few different places can be put inside the instancer. It is working faster then, but the actual outcome can differ a little bit, because if we're instancing, it will. Oh, you can see that it's like now it is one building, yeah. So it has the roof,
Oh wow.
so on. So
Very
maybe I
nice.
will just show you. There's a question about the details. You can see that some of them are changing. The those are the change is actually the change of this level of details mesh. So if it's red, it's higher level of details than
Okay.
if we're closer. Yeah. So
Okay.
now it's the best example is this level. Yeah, because as you can see, some of them needs to be like changed, because it should just you should be able to see all of them. They should change at once, because
Right.
if the wall is flat, they should change. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe not this one. But basically, the level of details change with the distance. So if you are near, we see the models that are
Yeah, like you
more
could see
detailed.
the like the bricks and stuff like that. That like
Yeah.
the closer you are, obviously the more you'll be able to see them. But when you back up, it just gives you a nice like representation of like where this high level of detail is, right? So you could.
Yeah, because if this model here will be like 2 pixels or 10 pixels high, why to bother with whole model?
Exactly. Exactly.
There's also possibility to like bake models into imposters, so they are only just like flat
Right.
models. You're not seeing, it is not 3D geo anymore, like it is flat geo, so it's like one plane that is baked into flat object, and from very far away it looks okay. You cannot see the difference, but if you will go closer, it will just change into the actual 3D model.
Yeah, and I think, we can notice, like we noticed in this in the games that we play normally, right? Like it's like the further your camera is away,
Yeah.
the detail looks good, right? But then the closer you get, the more you can see the pixels. Is there a way to make it so that the detail is like high detail no matter how close you get, or is that too much to ask for?
It depends on model, yeah.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
Unreal 4 is able to you can create, you can like show a lot of details, but in Unreal 5 there's this new feature that is called nanite,
Yeah,
and this
yeah, I heard
feature
about it.
this feature let you bring a lot of a lot of detail into the world. So it's only the matter only matter of how fast and how big and current hungry is your GPU,
Right.
plus the how dense is the actual texture on the object. So
Have you tried Unreal 5 yet?
yeah, I've tried to work with Houdini engine because it works there, and it works very nice. I like the UI because it's more like actual 3D app now, because
Right.
it's like cleaner and not so
Right.
candy app.
How would you say working like because did you actually do any I don't know like any small projects with Unreal 5 like to test it? I don't know. Can like what I'm sure that the comparison and the changes are huge, right, when it comes to 4 and 5. But what do you think the future looks like for game development and making levels and procedurally generating cities and stuff like that? Is it going to be easier with Unreal 5, or do you think it's still going to be the same amount of challenge as with Unreal 4?
Sorry. Sorry.
You're okay.
So Unreal 5 has a lot of changes that will change our workflow, because as you can see now, we need to like generate these outlines, and of course it is quite nice because those are spline. This spline tool, so it is a curve tool that we can, where we can like change the points, change the position of points, and get the actual change in the generated building. But there are few tools inside Unreal 5 that will change it, because Unreal 4 doesn't have tools to actually create models. Yeah, you cannot
Right.
create model inside Unreal 4.
Like
You
for
can,
that you would use like Blender or Houdini,
yeah,
like right.
exactly.
Right.
And in Unreal 5, you're able to create simple models out of, let's say, like you have a simple box, and you are just extruding the edges, extruding the faces, and creating new building. And with this tool, we will be able to get rid of some part of our workflow. Yeah, because it will be easier to use this kind of workflow than this one that we have here. For example,
Do you think
if yeah.
I'm sorry. If you had a thought, go ahead and finish it.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
if the tools will of course work perfectly, because it's always the matter
Right.
of that.
Do you think, because you mentioned that you'll be able to create models in Unreal 5, do you think in Unreal 5 we'll be able to completely like replace things like, I don't know, Blender, for example, in certain aspects of a workflow like that, or will you still need to go back to like Houdini, make something, bring it into Unreal 5 and so on?
Yes, I get you, and I think that no, Unreal for now will not be able to do this,
Okay.
because in models generation there's a lot of stuff that has to be done very precisely. I haven't seen the models for like UV unwrapping. The textures on the model are just like, uh, for example, you are creating the model of Earth. You need to somehow show the representation of this model on the flat surface, and you call it a map. Yeah,
Right,
you
right,
create a map. So the way you're representing the flat surface on 3D shape, you're using UV maps to do it. And I have not seen any, for now, any tools in Unreal 5 that will help you unwrap the model on the flat surface to create textures.
mm,
To like, maybe not to create textures, but to lay textures down on the model.
right.
So I believe that uh, like applications like Houdini, Blender, and so on will always be helpful. And if you know the tool very well, you're not just like uh,
You- you-
throwing it away.
yeah,
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 because the
exactly.
process,
Yeah.
it takes time to learn a new tools. So first thing that I've noticed here is like you mentioned the Blender and Houdini. Uh, there is possibility to create like normal models in Houdini, not only the procedural one,
Mhm.
but the process can be much more demanding than creating it like in Blender, Modo, and 3ds Max, and so on in Maya, uh, because Houdini was not meant to be a 3D modeler.
Right.
So, but it has extensions, plugins that help a lot creating models, but still, the other tools are quite easier to use.
Definitely, definitely. I think we're gonna if wrap it up here. We got a few more questions from Lady Dudette. So talking about learning things, how long did it take you to learn what you just showed us today? How long have you been in the industry? Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So I've been in game industry like for 1 year and 3 months. Before that, I was already using Houdini, and I was using it in creating advertisements
Mm,
and stuff like that. So it was quite easy for me to jump into this workflow because it differs a little bit from the stuff that you're doing to commercials and
right.
so on. But I'm using 3D tools from like 12 years now,
Wow.
like, something
Okay.
like that. 12 maybe, yeah, 2008 probably 2009. That is the play like uh, time back there when I started to learn 3D. But it's not that don't think that it needs so much time to learn it. I was learning Houdini for like I started 3 times, and 2 times it was too hard for me. And after that, I managed to crank my head. Actually, not Houdini. I needed to crank my head, and after that, it took me like I don't know, maybe like 1 year uh, to really be proficient with it. So
That's That's impressive, man. That's it matters how many times you can get back up after you've been knocked down, right? Yeah, I'm sure it was a challenge, I'm sure you face some challenging circumstances, situations when learning these programs. Because I mean, this isn't, like you're not going to learn this overnight, right? Like,
no,
people like they go to school. Do you think? Like since with like the information that we have now, like YouTube and the internet, just like everything, all of this information, it's easy for someone to like learn by themselves this stuff, right? Like just, if they want to like watch like, I don't know, Houdini guides or Blender guides or Unreal guides, and then they can do that, right? But it just takes some time.
Yeah, exactly. I had this one point when I was learning Houdini, and I thought that, oh man, maybe it's not for me.
Yeah.
Maybe it's too complex. Because I never ever script in my life, and Houdini is the scripting Houdini is next level for me. It's so simple, and on the one side it's very simple, but it is very steep learning curve at the beginning. So I recall the situation where when I was like, okay, never mind, maybe it's not for me,
Yeah.
and I pick one of the uh, courses from Steven Knipping. It's the guy that made that was VFX lead for like Rogue One. So he's creating this tutorials that's called they are called applied Houdini, and I made one tutorial with him, and I knew that okay, it is for me, but I need like better teachers.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I can jump like deeper, but I need someone to lead me, uh, to lead me to make that change in my mind to okay to like snap. That snap occurred then, and I thought that okay, that's the way that I should go.
That's
So
awesome.
yes, it is possible to learn it from YouTube, but it depends if you will if the teacher will fit your like your brain
Right.
capabilities or
Yeah,
this
yeah,
stuff.
no,
Yeah. So
I totally understand what you mean by that. It sort of just goes back to like when you're going to school, like right, like high school, like not at like the teacher might have been a good teacher, but if you didn't like click, you didn't understand,
yeah.
then like you didn't learn anything, right? So it's all about finding the right person to help you out with these types of things. Tomek, one last final thought. If you were to tell someone that's looking to be like a 3D artist, maybe they want to learn Houdini, maybe they want to learn Blender, from your experience, what is the best piece of advice that you would want to give someone looking to go in this kind of direction for a career?
Oh man.
It's a big question, I know.
Yeah, it's a big question. For me, it's keep trying,
Yeah.
never stop. I'm the guy that actually I don't have this like it's not natural for me to like to jump and to be the best one
Right.
at start and do things very rapidly. No, I'm just like I need time. I need to do this all the time.
You need to do
Take
a
your
hundred
time.
times.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It is a very tedious process, and
Same.
never give up. Keep going. It's hard as hell, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Awesome. Great piece of advice. Tomasz, that's Tomasz Pawłowicz, everybody. Tomek, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the
Thank you.
time and showing us some video game development magic. You did a really good job in explaining some of these things and that we would have never thought about. So, Tomek, once again, thank you guys so much. And thank you, the audience, for watching. If you guys weren't able to see the entire thing, we will post this on our YouTube channel. Feel free to follow us at Simterract everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, LinkedIn, all the places. So you have been great, Tomek. Thank you, everyone else in the chat. Have a fantastic day. Thank you, guys. Bye bye.
Thank you, guys. Have a